Hi you guys, it's Arielle. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing well. In today's video, we're going to talk about how much it costs to live in Paris, and specifically, I'm going to break it down to how much I'll spend in a week. I figure this would be useful if you're planning on moving to Paris in the near future, if you're going to visit Paris, or maybe you're just curious to see how the cost of living here compares to the cost of living back home. Now, the point of this video is to give you an idea of how much I'll spend in a week living in Paris, but because I want to give the full picture of the actual cost of living here, I do think we should also talk about monthly costs and annual costs, because these are payments that I make either 12 times a year or one time a year that I benefit from on a daily basis or a weekly basis, but I wouldn't be able to fit into this video if I was just talking about weekly expenses because I wouldn't have paid them in the past week. So I want to first talk about monthly expenses. I have my trusty iPad here that details all my spending, so I'm looking down, that's why. But my first category when it comes to monthly costs is transportation. And within transportation, I have two separate costs. The first is my monthly subscription to Vélib, which are the Paris city bikes. And for me specifically, my Vélib subscription costs €9.50. And this includes the use of both green and blue bikes. Green bikes are just regular bikes. Blue bikes are electric bikes, and the subscription I pay for allows me to use 2 electric bikes per day and unlimited use of the green bikes. My second cost when it comes to transportation is, of course, going to be my Paris Metro Pass, which costs me €89. And I will just quickly mention that I am rounding up all these costs to the nearest 50-cent mark or the nearest dollar mark. So €89 for my Paris Metro Pass. And this actually covers all of Île-de-France. So I have all the different trains and buses and metros and trams. It's not just city center specific, so it's a very useful Metro Pass, money well spent. My second monthly expense is my cell phone bill, which is annoyingly high at the moment. I'm actually paying for 2 separate phone lines, and I do this because when I travel, whether it's to Canada or to Greece or really anywhere outside of France, my data is limited from like 100 gigabytes that I would normally have in France to, let's say, 20. And this is problematic when I'm in like a village on the island of Crete with my friends and I don't have access to enough internet to upload a video, for example. So that's why I'm currently paying for 2 lines. Do I need to pay for 2 lines? No, I should probably cancel it and just reactivate when I travel. But voila, I just wanted to mention that because the cost for these 2 lines is €45 per month, and that is double, if not more, what you would regularly pay for just an average phone plan in France with 100 gigabytes and like unlimited calling and texting. Jean, for example, I think his plan is $18.99. So for me, it's 45. Next up, we have household costs. The first monthly household cost, I would say, is our rent. And so Jean and I pay €1,490 in rent per month. And just for information, our apartment is 42 meters squared, which I think is 450 square feet. We have a balcony, a parking space, and storage. So that's what we pay €1,490 for. On top of this, we also pay €40 for Wi-Fi and about €45 a month for electricity. Obviously, that's going to fluctuate based on whether it's winter or summer, but on average, it's 45. And our electricity bill specifically includes appliances and lights. So really anything you plug in or that you turn on, that is what we pay for electricity. I just want to specify because we don't pay for things like hot water or heating. I mean, we do pay for them, but it's not through our electricity bill. Anything that's water or heating related is paid for by the landlords, and the landlords sort of already include that in the rent price. All of these are obviously shared costs with Jean, so I'm going to divide everything by 2, which brings us to a total of €787.50 per person per month. Another shared cost that we have is our Amex card, which is €53 per month divided by 2 because it's a shared cost is €26.50 per person. Now, a note on this Amex card. So we have the, I think, Platinum Air France Amex card. The reason why we got it is because they had a promotion at the time that would give you 40,000 Flying Blue points if you signed up for that card. And so we did the math and we calculated that even with this monthly expense, it would still be worth it for us because 40,000 miles is, give or take, a round trip flight back home to Canada. So that's why we decided to test out this card. Without that promotion, I definitely don't think it's worth it. And so next year, I don't think this will be a monthly cost for us. But yeah, at the moment for this year, that's the T. The thing with the Air France Amex card is that it's really good in accumulating Flying Blue points faster, but you don't have all the other perks of like a regular Amex card, like access to airport lounges or, I don't know, cash back on Lululemon. I'm not too sure what all the other deals are that you get with your Platinum Amex, like Amex card. But yeah, the Air France one for the moment, I don't think is super worth it for us. Moving on to my next monthly cost, which is my Spotify, and that's 12 euros per month. And my last monthly cost, which is health insurance. For both Jean and I, this is 202 euros and 50 cents per month, but 121.50 is covered by Jean's company. And so we only pay 81 euros for health coverage for both of us. Divided by 2, I pay 40 euros and 50 cents per month on health insurance. And to give you an idea how the healthcare system works here, what you can expect, the healthcare system reimburses 70% of your medical costs. So if you go to the doctor costs 10 euros, you'll be reimbursed 7 euros and you'll pay 3 euros out of pocket. Health insurance is meant to bridge that gap, to cover that last 3 euros so that you don't have to pay anything for your healthcare. Another instance where health insurance comes in handy and is quite necessary is when you seek medical care outside of the public sector services. So like a public hospital versus a private hospital. And this is actually very often the case where you'll get your medical treatment from outside of the public system. For example, instead of seeing a doctor at a public hospital, you might see a doctor in his private clinic. Or instead of getting an x-ray done at the public hospital, you might go to a private x-ray office. Where I'm going with all this is the government sets a price for a certain care. So let's say, for example, they have set the cost of an x-ray at 25 euros, they will reimburse 70% of that 25 euros that they have set as the base price for an x-ray. You'll pay 25 euros for that x-ray at the public hospital. But if you go to a private x-ray clinic, they might charge you 50 euros. And so from the healthcare system, you're only going to be reimbursed the 70% of the 25 euro base amount. And so your health insurance will not only cover the extra 30%, but they'll cover the difference, or hopefully they'll cover the difference between the 25 euros that is this set base rate and the 50 euros that the private clinic is charging. I really hope that made sense. If it didn't, let me know. Maybe we can make a video on the French healthcare system. But yeah, health insurance is very important to have here because even if healthcare isn't very expensive, a lot of the times you do find yourself seeking treatment outside of the public healthcare establishments. Anyways, that just about wraps it up for my monthly costs, bringing the total to 1,010 euros per month in expenses that I have. If I divide that into a weekly expense, that would be 233 euros per week. Moving on to my annual payments, my first category is sports. Now, I have two costs when it comes to sports. The first cost is my gym membership, which is 508 euros per year. If I break that down per month, that is 42 euros and 50 cents per month. The gym I go to is called Cercle de la Forme, and the type of membership that I have gives me access to obviously all the equipment, but also gives me access to all of their group classes. And I love this gym because they have so many different group classes. They have everything from Pilates to weightlifting to CrossFit to boxing to Muay Thai to dance. They just cover truly every sport, and I like that diversity. Every week you can just go into any class you want, and I think it's fun to have access to all that. The second cost when it comes to sports for me is my competitive basketball fees. I love basketball. I have one practice per week and one game per week. And the total of that is 203 euros per year or 17 euros per month. Moving on to our annual household payments that I share with Jean. Our first expense that we pay on an annual basis is our membership to a store called Naturalia, which is an organic grocery store. We pay a membership that costs 52 euros a year, or 4 euros and 50 cents per month. And this is the greatest membership because it saves us on average, I want to say 60 to 70 euros per month. Essentially, when you go and do your groceries and you give them your membership card, you automatically get 10% off of your bill. So it is a huge money saver. Our next shared cost is our Costco membership, which is 35 euros per year or 3 euros per month. We also have our apartment insurance, which is 311 euros per year or 26 euros per month. And finally, we have to pay for garbage disposal. Now, this is a bill that I believe comes from the city. It goes to our landlord, and then our landlord sends it to us. And per year, this is approximately 150 euros that we pay at the very end, which is 12 euros and 50 cents per month for garbage disposal. And the last annual payments that I have are my museum memberships. So I pay into the Louvre museum membership. The Ami du Louvre is what it's called, and that is 95 euros per year. I'm sort of testing it out to see if it's worth it because this membership, among a couple other benefits, gives you unlimited free access to the museum and you get to cut the line. So far it's been fabulous. The other museum membership I pay is to the Musée d'Orsay and the Orangerie, which is 40 euros a year or 3 euros and 50 cents a month. Sorry, I didn't give the monthly cost for the Louvre membership. That is 8 euros per month. And the last annual cost that I have is my membership to the SNCF train line. These are the trains that run all across France. Essentially, this membership gives you discounts on your train tickets and gives you extra perks like being able to cancel your ticket last minute, or you can like hold a ticket without paying for it just while you decide. I don't know. The main point is you get discounts off your train tickets. And this for me cost 49 euros per year or 4 euros per month. Whew, that is a lot of payments. So my annual payments, keeping in mind that some of these I split with Jean, total 1,243 euros and 50 cents per year, which is 103 euros and 50 cents per month, or 24 euros per week. So before I even get to my weekly spending on all of my monthly and annual fees and costs, I have spent a total of 1,073 euros per month, or 257 euros per week on all of these different expenses that we just covered. Now let's get to this week's specific spending. So based on everything I purchased this week, I have divided the costs into 4 different categories. We have groceries, we have going out, we have healthcare, and shopping. So all the different costs I'm going to filter into these 4 categories. We're going to take it day by day, starting with Saturday. I like to start with Saturday because it's basically our reset day. On Saturday, Jean and I get up and we get out the laptops and we start thinking of the recipes we want to make. We meal plan for the week, and from that meal plan, we write down specifically all the different grocery stores we have to go to and all of the things that we need to pick up. This process, like the planning and the shopping, takes us hours. And then once we've done the shopping, we also try to do some meal prepping and cooking. So Saturday really is our reset day when it comes to getting our life organized. So on Saturday, we went to 3 different grocery stores. We of course went to Naturalia, that's where we have our membership. And this is, like I said, an organic grocery store that we go to for the vast majority of our groceries. In Naturalia, we'll buy things like our fruits, vegetables, grains, carbs, things like pastas and breads, our dairy products and milk products, so certain cheeses, oat milk, almond milk, cow milk, soy milk, butter, cream, certain meats like chicken breasts, steak patties, and ground beef. We'll get our dishwasher pods, our laundry detergent, etc. Truly, most of our grocery shopping happens at this store, and on Saturday, we spent a total of 108 euros here. Divided by 2 is 54 euros per person. Our second stop for groceries is a shop called Picard, which is like the frozen foods shop of France. Normally in Picard, we'll pick up certain frozen fishes or frozen fruits. This Saturday, for example, we bought 2 packs of organic shrimp and a bag of organic cherries. The total for this was 23 euros divided by 2 is 11 euros and 50 cents. And then we finished our shopping at Monoprix. We don't do a lot of grocery shopping at Monoprix because they aren't like an organic specialized grocery store, but there are some items that we can't find at Naturalia or that we prefer to buy non-organic. For example, Greek yogurt, pickles, beef bouillon cubes, like random bits and bobs like that. Toothpaste as well. So yeah, our total here for this day was 31 euros divided by 2 is 15 euros and 50 cents. And that was it. That was our total for spending on Saturday. Normally, like I said, we spend the entire day meal planning, meal prepping, cooking, grocery shopping, cleaning the apartment, doing laundry, going for walks. Like we don't typically spend a lot on a Saturday. So all in all, we can add 81 euros into the groceries category. And just for fun, while we're on the topic of grocery shopping and food, I thought I could show a couple clips of the meals that we made this week. We had burgers and fries twice, although I don't have any video footage, sorry. I made our weekly breakfast, which is an apple oat bake with cherry chia seed pudding and Greek yogurt. I made lasagna. We had cucumber, rice, and shrimp boats. Jean made us baked squash. Voila. We love to cook. We try and discover new recipes every week. And while I do test restaurants for my work, we don't do more than one a week typically. Next up, we have Sunday, and on Sunday, we spent $0. Basically, what happened is we had an IKEA delivery that was scheduled for a certain time of day, and you really can't do anything other than just sit around, and it's always our luck that the delivery happens like the last 15 minutes of the time slot they've given you. So on Sunday, we had a very slow morning. We had our breakfast. We did some cleaning. We did some laundry. And then finally, when the IKEA delivery did arrive, we unboxed it. We just ordered the last piece of like the couch there. We just wanted to add a square sectional piece that we could push up so we can make a double bed for when we have guests that are visiting. So it was delivered, we built it, we ended up cleaning up after that chaos, and then after lunch, we went to play some basketball together, which was free, and I think we just came home, made dinner, and watched a movie. So yeah, pretty simple day, no money spent. Moving on to Monday, my very first expense of the day was the dentist, which was 192 euros. This included a checkup with my dentist, a cleaning, and a full set of x-rays, which I do once a year. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the cost of this dentist because it's a lot more expensive than what you can anticipate in France. 2 years ago, I had a gum graft surgery, and so instead of being able to go to a regular dentist, I now need periodontal care. And this is obviously a specialized type of dentist, which will cost more. The surgery really scared me, and so I finally found a periodontist that I trusted. The surgery obviously went really well, and so now I'm just stuck with this clinic for the rest of my life. They could charge me 500 euros a visit, and I would go. But yeah, typically in France, I think the base cost of a dental visit is 25 euros. Jean, for example, he goes to a dentist that charges a little bit more. I think he pays 40 euros per visit. And so the healthcare system does cover a good portion of that amount. If you're going to the dentist for 40 euros, you'll probably get reimbursed 20 euros and then your insurance will cover the rest. For my cost, which was 192, the healthcare system covered 76 euros of that amount, and so I ended up only having to pay 116, and of that 116, my insurance will cover most, if not all of that. I submitted the paperwork. I'm still waiting to see what they're going to cover, so I don't know. If I do know before I post this video, I'll add a clip of future me explaining it. Literally 30 minutes before I wanted to post this video, I finally got confirmation of the reimbursement. So my dental care costs are going from 192 to 116 to 0. My insurance is covering everything. Later in the evening, we decided to finish up the grocery shopping that we didn't get to this weekend. Specifically, Jean and I wanted to make lasagna. I love making my mom's lasagna recipe. It transports me back to my childhood, but this lasagna recipe and this meal in general is sort of a treat for us because it's very expensive to make. We go to this store in the Marais called Italy, which has really high quality Italian products, but it's definitely more pricey. We'll buy a nice bottle of wine that we like to drink while we cook, And just in general, I think the cheeses and the tomatoes that we buy, like the ingredients themselves are expensive by nature. And so this meal and this grocery shop in particular is definitely out of norm, I would say, for us. But anyways, at Italy, we got our bottle of wine, which was 15 euros. And then we spent 63 euros and 50 cents on the groceries that you see here, which includes the different tomatoes and sauces required, the cheese, and the noodles. While we're here, we did some wandering around and also bought polenta, butter, and this big yummy looking pasta, which was all outside of the lasagna recipe. We also had a little slice of pizza each at one of their counters in the mini marketplace. I got a slice of mozzarella for 6 euros and Jean got a slice with cured pork meat and pecorino for 8. Before we headed home, we also ran into Monoprix very quick to buy 2 things that we were missing. We had to grab some Greek yogurt and a big box of tea that Jean drinks in the morning. He's not a coffee drinker. And this cost us 13 euros. And the final expense for this day, which I had to buy off of Amazon, I can't tell you what it is. It's a surprise. You will know next week. But all I can say is it's an accessory that was a necessity and is not something I could buy anywhere else. So with that knowledge, I will add that this accessory cost me 12 euros. So in total for spending, we can add 46 euros into the grocery category, 116 euros at the time I'm filming this into the healthcare category, although I hope that will go down. Me again. Yes, we are changing these healthcare costs from 116 to 0. 12 euros into the shopping category and 7 euros in the going out category. On Tuesday, we woke up, we had breakfast, Jean went to work, I worked from home. And then halfway through, I think the morning, I got our second IKEA delivery, which were all the little pieces that were missing, like these tiny organization boxes, the bag for the mattress topper. So no spending up until the afternoon. When I left, I had a couple things that I had to film in Paris. And then I went to a store called Emma in the evening. I had to get some party decoration supplies and also the little candles that you always see in the back of my videos that flicker. Those are all rechargeable and we have a set of 8 but 2 broke, so I went to go pick up some more of those rechargeable candles. The total bill for all this was 29 euros and 50 cents and these are shared costs with Jean, so I'm going to be dividing this by 2. Then I walked over to Antique Club, which is my favorite secondhand store for interior decor pieces. It's run by the amazing Lolita. She's already done an interview on my channel. I love her store. It's so hard for me to go in. I have to limit how many times a year I can go into that store because I truly will buy everything. She has such an eye for design. The boutique is so beautifully curated. But anyways, a couple weeks ago, she had posted these bronze candlestick holders with hearts, like little heart cutouts that went all around. And so I asked her if she would put them on hold for me. And then when I went to go pick them up, I saw these adorable disco style napkin rings. And you might think that something like this is cheap, but these are truly so heavy. They are made of metal and glass. They are such high quality. I love it. I love both of these pieces. The total bill was 28 euros. The candlestick holders were 6.50 each and the napkin rings were 3 euros each. And these are some decor pieces that Jean and I want for an upcoming party. And so again, this is a shared cost that I will be dividing. Afterwards, I took the Vedib home and we made dinner and then I worked the rest of the evening. So our total spending for today is 29 euros into the shopping category. Future Arielle picking up where we left off, which was Wednesday. Now, on Wednesday, I had breakfast, I filmed, I edited, and I had lunch at home, which was just like the shrimp and rice boats. And then I went out into Paris and I filmed the grand opening of Shein at the BHV, which you guys may have already seen. I put the video out earlier this week, and that occupied like hours of my day. I obviously didn't end up buying anything, but yeah, that was pretty much where I spent my time. When I got home, I finished editing the video, I posted the video, and then I ran out to join my friend Laura for a cheese and wine tasting. Now, this was supposed to be something for me and Jean. It was supposed to be a little date night, but Jean had a last minute work event, and so I ended up taking my friend Laura, but I'd already bought the tickets and they were 50 euros per person, so that was 100 euros out of pocket for me. We had a nice time at this tasting, and at the end of it, we got to talking with the caviste. The caviste is the person who runs the wine shop, and he was telling us that around the corner there was this very cool speakeasy bar, and we're like, the night is still young, let's go and have a drink. So he took us over to this speakeasy, and I'm glad he did, because I don't think we would have gotten in otherwise. It was like through a restaurant, but it was through a door that literally looked like it was going into the kitchen. I would have never in my life gone through that door or like dared even walk close to it. So yeah, it was a very cool, very mysterious speakeasy. I didn't take a lot of videos because I felt like I wasn't allowed to. But yeah, the drinks there were 15 euros per cocktail, and we had 2 each. But because I'd paid for the wine tasting, Laura grabbed the bill for this one, which was 30 euros per person. At around 1 in the morning, we called it a night. I took the metro home, and I was in bed at around 2, which is very late for me. But yeah, in total, my spending for today was 100 euros that go into the going out category. Now, today was an expensive day, and I want to talk about this category of going out because I have a second event coming up on Friday, and I think that by the end of this week, this category will be a lot higher than what is even normal for me, but a lot higher than I think the average person spends in Paris. And I don't want to give the impression that when you live in Paris, you have to spend this amount to go out and have a good time. The thing is, I have an entire YouTube channel and business dedicated to travel in Paris and life in Paris. And so this not only includes all my videos, but part of my business is writing my guides and doing my consultation calls, which you can book on my website. And in order to be a good travel consultant, I have to know the best places, the best restaurants, the best cheese tastings, the best wine tastings, the best museums, the best tours. Like, that is an integral part of my job. And so every single week there is something that I'm going to test. And things like wine and cheese tastings, for example, I would normally just reserve that for a special occasion, like an anniversary event with Jean or like a friend's birthday. I wouldn't just go to a wine and cheese tasting on a random Wednesday night. But because it's my job, I kind of have to. And I could very easily just, send an email to these establishments and to these restaurants and, small businesses like this wine shop and ask them if I could attend one of their events for free because I'd like to add it into like a travel guide or post it on my social media. But that's just not something I would ever do. And I've explained this a ton before. But because I'm going with the purpose of evaluating the activity, of evaluating the experience, and deciding whether or not I think it's worth my money, whether or not I think it is an activity that's worth your while, I have to pay for it. Because if you tell someone that you're coming in and you work in social media and you're going to post about it, like, people try and give you the best experience possible. Like, they go above and beyond in ways that they normally wouldn't for other clients. And I just don't want that biased experience. I want a regular person experience without the person in front of me knowing that I'm going to post about it on social media, because I want to feel reassured that when I'm recommending something to a client during a consultation call, that they're going to have the exact same fabulous experience that I had when I went and I tested it. And something else that's interesting about this is I have probably tested 5 or 6 cheese and wine tastings in Paris this year, and there are very clearly some that stand out from the others. There are some that I would recommend you do the second you land in Paris, and there's some that I would say, oh my gosh, avoid like at all costs. Even this wine and cheese tasting, for example, I wouldn't recommend. It's not going in a guide, it's not going in a video, and it's not going in a consultation call. But I had to go and pay and test this activity to know that, I feel like I'm just rambling at this point, but it is important to note that my costs for going out this week are not normal, and that you can spend a fraction of my total cost and have a fabulous time in Paris. Like I said, the events that I'm doing this week are not ones that I would normally do. I would really be saying this kind of stuff for special occasions. Anyways, moving on to Thursday. Thursday was a boring day, I'll admit. I had breakfast, I cleaned the house a little bit, and I got to working. Lunch for me was the shrimp boats again. You'll notice that I eat all of my lunches from home. I prefer to eat home-cooked meals because I know that if I'm testing a restaurant, then I'm gonna have an entree, a main, and a dessert. It's gonna be pretty unhealthy, and I don't wanna get into this habit of like constantly eating out. So yeah, I just generally try to eat the maximum amount of meals at home that are home-cooked and made with like the ingredients we get from the organic store. For dinner, we had lasagna and salad, although Jean did have to pick up salad on his way home, and that was €1.49. Before dinner, I went to 2 different workout classes, which, as we've discussed, is part of my annual gym membership, so there wasn't a cost associated to that. Once I came home, I just worked for the rest of the evening, and so that brings our total cost for today to 75 cents, which goes into the grocery category. And finally, we have the last day of the week, which is Friday, another very boring day. Same as all the other days, I got up, I had breakfast, I worked from home, I filmed, I wrote, I edited. I will say that I had to quickly pop out to the grocery store in the morning to pick up Greek yogurt to go with my breakfast. We consume a lot of Greek yogurt. Like I would say on a daily basis, we each probably eat 150 grams. So we end up having to buy multiple tubs of Greek yogurt per week. And this morning, the Greek yogurt that I got at the grocery store was €7.10, which is astronomical. If you guys have seen any of my Costco videos, you'll know that this exact yogurt we buy at Costco for €3.50. And so it always stings to have to run out and buy this yogurt and pay literally double the price that we would at Costco. But anyways, I digress. For lunch, I had lasagna, and I walked a little bit on my walking pad right behind me for exercise. I finished up my workday, and then in the evening, I headed to a cheese making class at Parole de Fromager. Their shop recently moved from the 10th arrondissement to the Ile Saint-Louis in the center of Paris, so it was a really nice bike ride over for me. Now, I adore everything Parole de Fromager does. Their classes and their tastings are the best in my opinion. During this class specifically, we made mozzarella, ricotta, and butter. And once everything was done, we had a little apéro together to taste everything. And this was €76. So in total for today, we can add €3.50 into the groceries category and €76 into the going out category. Now it's time to add everything up. So for my weekly spending, I am at a total of €469, €131 into the grocery category, 181 into going out, 116 into healthcare, and 41 into shopping. Future Arielle here, because we now need to account for the fact that my healthcare costs are $0 for the week, which means that our total weekly spending is going from €469 to €353. Do I think that this is an accurate representation of how much I spend in a week? Yes and no. I think for groceries and for shopping, this is highly accurate. This is very much on par with what I will spend in a typical week living in Paris. When it comes to going out, we've already discussed that this number is very much inflated. Even as someone who has to test these activities, I don't normally book 2 events in 1 week. So this was definitely out of norm for me. I would say like on a normal week, I would probably reduce this number from 181 to like €70 maximum. So I really think that number is way more than it typically should be. Another number that is kind of annoyingly high for the purpose of this video is healthcare, which is €116. And again, it is very likely that I will be reimbursed for the totality of this amount by my insurance. Yes, we now know that I was. So if we take this updated weekly cost of €353 and we add it to the monthly and annual cost that we talked about at the start of this video, which as we discussed was €257, I'm now looking at a total weekly spend of €610. And if we multiply that by 4.3 to account for all the weeks in a month, our total monthly expenses are approximately €2,623. So voila, I think that you can use this video as a reference point, but of course you're gonna have to tailor it to your lifestyle and what you think you'll spend in all these different categories. There are a couple other things I wanna mention when it comes to my own personal monthly costs that I think will be very different from a lot of other people in Paris and in France, because I own my own business. I don't work for a larger company, and there are a lot of benefits that I miss out on because I don't work for a big company. So to name a few, typically when you work for a company in France, actually, I don't think it's typically, I think it's mandatory. They have to pay for at least 50% of your Metro Pass. Jean's company actually pays 100% of his Metro Pass. So if I was working for a company, that wouldn't be a cost. Something else, like another perk companies provide, are ticket restaurant, which is like a little gift card that comes with 200 euros on it that you can spend on groceries and going out. It isn't exactly 200 that comes directly from the company. I think it's something like a 70-30 split or a 60-40 split. So of the 200, 60% of that is paid by your company and the other 40% comes out of your paycheck. But again, that's a perk that adds up when it comes to expenses. For example, if Jean and I go for dinner, he's paying and he's paying with his Ticket Restaurant card. Another benefit that comes to mind is like fitness related benefits. Jean's company and most companies truly will give you a certain amount per year that you can put into wellness. So whether or not that's like a sports team or your gym membership, I think typically this will range from 200 to 250 euros. So another benefit, I pay for all my sports with my own money. Again, around the holidays as well, you'll receive, they're called chèques vacances. It's, again, they're chèque is like check, holiday checks. And essentially they'll give you money that you can use for, flights, for trains, for hotels, anything that's vacation related. And you don't need to use it around the holidays. It's good for the entire year, but they give it to you around the holidays. Most companies, I think, will give you maybe 500 euros. When I was working at Chanel, my gosh, 7 years ago, the chèques vacances were, I think, 800 euros, depending on your level of seniority. So yeah, another benefit that would help offset certain costs. Any other benefits that I can think of? Not at the moment, but all that to say is my situation isn't necessarily the norm. If you're coming here and if you're going to work for a French company, you will have numerous benefits that will seriously reduce your expenses that I don't necessarily get to take advantage of. But yeah, I think that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you guys found this one useful. I would love to know what you think down below, and I'm very curious to know how the living expenses that I talked about here in Paris compares to your own living expenses back home. Everyone says Paris is such an expensive city to live in, but I don't know. I feel like that's not really the case. I mean, globally, I think French salaries are a lot less than other countries, certainly a lot less than the US and Canada. But yeah, I'm very curious. Please let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you in the next one.